making Cavill this guy again.
I've got some shit to say about Spider-Man No Way Home, the movie that's just come out. I understand a lot of people are doing um, audible backflip. You can't hear me?
I can hear you. You're good.
No, I think Chillmonger can't hear me.
No, I got you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a rank, and I'm gonna read some stuff of what I've written just to make my criticisms a little bit more coherent. Because I made some notes, just so that. Oh, by the way, hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host, the Nerd Man, and today we are talking about Spider-Man: No Way Home. So yeah, I've got some notes. I'm gonna read through, and then we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this film. And I wanted to give these notes to explain my current rating of this movie, which has gone down since this morning. I'm going to admit that it went down from 7. It's gone a little bit. I've minused a little bit out of it. That being said, I know that other people have enjoyed it. I hope you'll allow me to just get my thoughts out. I'm not trolling. This is not a troll thing. This is just my serious thoughts on it. All right. So,
first of all, Nerman gave out a disclaimer, and he said it's not a troll stream. That's a disclaimer. He promises it's not a troll stream.
This is not a troll stream.
Right. Hey, I'm here for a reason.
Oh, you're here to defend? Okay, that's good. I want you to defend. All right, so I'm going to start off my opening gambit. Let's just get like rock and roll with this, right? So the first thing I wrote is, and I want you guys to react to it. Beyond spectacle and eye candy, there is no thought put into this movie. It is lacking subtlety, divorced of anything but artificial feelings. It is good only insofar as I know it will satisfy fans of the MCU and possibly Spider-Man, but in my humble opinion, it shouldn't. An example of the lack of thought put into like coherent storytelling is, for instance, Peter. The whole thing of Peter going to MIT, right? So he's in the beginning of the movie. They reject him from MIT. He then saves a woman on the bridge. Who then tells him, "Oh, we're going to help you go to MIT. Don't worry about it. You and your friends are going to get in." But by the end of the film, you know, when you think that this arc should have ended, one of the major reasons he leaves the bar with Zendaya or MJ in it is because they got accepted. He sees that they got accepted into MIT, meaning like I don't really see any of the point of like the woman saying in the beginning, "You've got into MIT." She shouldn't have done that if you wanted that end moment to actually come off really, really the way it should do. I.e., one of the reasons he's like leaving them and not letting them, you know, remember who he is because actually, you know, they actually got into MIT and they do better without him. That's just one little thread of like the thoughtlessness that I see in this film. But
May
there's
I
more.
cut in between each of yours, or do you want to like?
No. I want you to cut in. That's my first point.
I interpreted Peter leaving Michelle when he saw the scar with the freaking Band-Aid over her. He reminded himself of, oh yeah, when she's a part of my spider life, she is a victim of, you know, potential pain and suffering. And he goes, I'm gonna let her be. And it had nothing to do with MIT and her future. It was more so, I'm dangerous to her. She doesn't know any better. Maybe this is a blessing. I'm gonna leave it. You know, hopefully the fans, were like me, I'm yearning for them to get back together and they can have their little moments. But I feel like it wasn't an MIT thing.
Okay, so you're saying it was just the scar on her head. Yeah, go for it, K-Dots.
Well, I would say this real quick too, because if we look like the MIT thing, it really didn't matter at the end because the whole wish, everyone was going to forget who Peter Parker was, meaning they forgot about they forgot him. So that MIT lady, she forgot about the application that she even made for him at all. And that's why
I
he had
know.
to, no. Well, it's just going
No,
to my point. And then he has a GED, and that's all he's going to. That's what he got to do. He can't even finish high school at this point unless he wants to go back and do it himself and try to register as Peter Parker and make shit happen. But for me, I agree with Killmonger. It was the Band-Aid. When he saw the scar, that reminded him like, yeah, if I try to get involved with this girl again, I'm just gonna put her in more danger. So it's best just leave her alone.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you an alternative scene. Okay. And this isn't just like, hey, this is how I do it. I'm just saying because it would make more sense. I'm gonna give you an alternative scene. He saves that woman in a car from the MIT. Yeah, like the woman who's the dean of MIT or whatever. He saves her.
The appeals lady. She's the appeals lady.
The old lady. And instead of her saying, hey, I'm going to let you into MIT, Peter and Spider-Man, she says instead of that, this is the problem. If I let you into MIT, I can't afford to do that because of the risk it presents to the people. I've just seen firsthand what would happen if I let Spider-Man
that's not
and his
fair.
friends if I let Spider-Man and his friends into school. I'm not saying these are the exact words she should have said. I'm just giving a scenario of how they could have dealt with that. And then by the end of the movie, when he sees the scar and they've to MIT, right, without him, then he could have been like, oh, not only am I not going to put her in danger, but her life is actually a lot better without me in it, right? And all through the movie, this is just one example. All through the movie, there's that level of thoughtlessness, right? That goes.
It feels like you're criticizing it because they didn't give the double whammy of it's the Band-Aid and the MIT. You're like, that's a missed opportunity. They could have made it better with
two. It's a missed opportunity that they do over and over again. They do it again with the characterization of the aunt, right? So the aunt doesn't get.
Hold on. Your example doesn't work because your possible scenario doesn't work because
why doesn't it work?
He didn't get refused because of the attacks on the bridge. They got refused way before that. So you can't have her say, we didn't let you in because of all the
I didn't say she should say we didn't let you in because of that. I'm saying she should have said, not like, wow, you're a hero, Peter. Everything we thought about you was wrong. But still, I can't let you into MIT having seen what just happened now, because if I let you into MIT, the parents are going to go nuts. They're going to be like, this kind of thing can happen every day, right?
Yeah, that should put
kids in danger.
But that instantly got erased as soon as she got saved.
Right.
So then what should she have done?
What would you got erased?
Once Spider-Man rescued her, all that danger aspect suddenly went out the window, and she's showing her gratefulness.
Right, she could have shown her gratefulness, but at the same time said, man, I'll do whatever it takes if you need a recommendation or anything like that. But at MIT, I can't have this, like on my campus. It would have made it a stronger scene by the end of it. I know that sounds like a nitpick, but
it's not. I agree with you. I think that she should have never, like, while they're on the bridge, she sees Dr. Octopus coming after Peter. Peter is a target. Peter is a prone to danger. If he's at the school, more Dr. Octopuses will come to the school. You don't want him at your school. So I don't feel like she got, oh, you saved me. You really are a hero. Come aboard. That was poor logic. Yeah.
Right.
That's
exactly.
the least of this movie's problems.
But that was different than what you said before about MJ thing. But yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, no, but this is my point here, that kind of lack of thought is all through this movie. That kind of it's just lacks just basic fundamental thought that would have improved and made the writing better and made every single part that was supposed to impact you emotionally work. That's why a lot of the emotional beats feel flat, because they're not set up properly. Aunt May's death, not set up properly. Now, Jaded, I want to do one thing, because I want to get both your points of view on the movie first. But I also want to say that I've got like a thing that I've written down, and I'm gonna read out a paragraph and like get you to respond to it. But before I go on doing that, I want you to tell me your thoughts on the movie. I'm sure Showmonger, you like really enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First half, the first hour of the okay. I want to say this. The best part of this movie and my favorite part of this movie and the part of this movie that they did that impressed me the most was the introduction of the Spider-Mans and their introductions to each other. I loved everything about it. Their talk, their sincerity, their like even when Andrew goes, "Prove you're Spider-Man," and he does this with the hand, and she goes, "Now crawl." He goes, "Why? This is good enough." I thought that was funny. It wasn't meant like it was like, "Shut up, MJ. This is good enough." The interaction between Toby was
So you
very
thought
calm.
that the old woman Ned's mum was really good, yeah? And Ned
Really
let her-
good?
The fact that she went from speaking whatever language and then would just go into English, I thought that was great.
Can you get
Like
the
she was-
cobweb in the corner?
That was
That was
stupid.
really-
That was stupid. I'm not defending that at all. That was
So you didn't love
unnecessary.
every moment of it. So
But I
okay, let's
still
just
loved. Yeah, I mean, okay, yes, granted, there were some little things that were stupid, but
okay.
like when they were talking about the different web shooting and him going, "It's organic." It wasn't done for laughs. It was like, oh my God, how does that work? I mean, I loved it all up. Now, the first half of this movie is absolutely hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing at the ridiculousness of how forced and plot convenience and plot holes there were. The second half
Okay,
was
well
getting a
let
lot
me know
better.
what are the plot holes and plot conveniences that you
The
see.
second half I enjoyed, but again, the plot holes kept coming and the ridiculousness kept coming. And overall, unfortunately, this
You
is
know
my
you loved it,
favorite.
Jay. You loved it.
Unfortunately, this is my favorite Tom Holland movie because of Andrew and Garfield, not because of Tom Holland. Because Tom Holland Spider-Man does exactly what he does every other movie.
I think he went through a lot of consequences in this. I have to say, like,
To give you
even
an
for me,
example,
I feel like that was the best aspect, was Tom actually going through some genuine consequences
okay,
and responding to them, and actually, for the most part, Tom doing a decent, not great, but decent performance. When I actually really thought that Aunt May scene, when she died, I was like, wow, he's really putting in work here as an actor. He's not that talented an actor, and he was still trying his very best. Dude, I'm not trying to be bad. I know you're laughing at it, Chillmonger. I'm not. He's not.
Don't
This
worry.
guy is not winning an Oscar anytime soon.
I mean, he's not bad, but he's not bad. But when it requires for him to like get emotional and stuff and pull off those moments, he does it. Like in Infinity War when he died, Civil War. I mean, Homecoming, we had to lift off the rubble, and he was kind of stressed out and stuff, and felt claustrophobic and all that, and even in Far From Home, I didn't like that much. But the scene when he stopped Mysterio and was like, "You're not going to trick me no more." Like when he gets those moments, he can do it. He ain't the best actor, but he can do it. He can do the job.
He can do the job. And when he was doing the denial, like I thought, like that was well written. That was probably the best written part of the movie. So I liked his journey through this movie until the end. And I'll get into that. Chillmonger, what did you think of the movie? Like, give us your
It was
overall.
like a fan film that pleased me. I know it was rapid in the beginning, and I was kind of happy about that. I didn't really want to dwell on Peter Parker's identity being revealed. I had a feeling, because I do know comic book stuff, that this would be reversed, so they didn't waste too much time. They just got it done. And I disagree with a couple of things you're saying. But how much on your list do you like have, just so I know how to pace myself? You covered one.
Not much. I've got like 6 points.
All right.
That is why I've had to put the movie down from a 7 to a 6.4.
I'm laughing
Hey,
because
that's
the
not that bad.
6.4.
Look,
People say like
that's not
6,
bad.
maybe 6.5. You went 0.4.
That's like a C plus-ish kind of thing.
It's a C plus. It's a decent enough movie, but it has no
6.4.
balls.
That's certified right.
You guys know what?
It has no balls. It has no. Should I go on to my next point? So I did my my last point. So I have here that decent, not great performance aside by Tom Holland. Aunt May's death, which is pivotal to the through line of emotion of the whole film, goes by with a whimper rather than a bang. So, i.e., Aunt May's death, instead of them building Aunt May in a proper way in this movie so that you really felt like her death, once again, they chose the lazy route. Have her say things because she's Aunt May, just like everything else in the movie, because they're this person, we'll put them on screen and we'll just get you to add your own feelings and emotions because of who they are, rather than what the story's actually doing, the legwork the story's actually doing to make you feel emotional and connected to these characters. So when she died, didn't give a shit other than Tom Holland's performance. Tom Holland's performance sold that whole thing. Nothing about this character. And that is not just a small part. That's the emotional through line of this whole movie. The the sense that you care about what happens to Tom Holland is measured by how they executed her death and his response to it. I'll leave it up to you to answer.
The
Am
execution
I
of the
exaggerating the importance of it?
Go ahead,
What?
Shamar. You go first.
She died in this movie, correct? But in the first movie, they kind of built the relationship. She's the cool aunt. She's even like attractive. And then on the second movie, they built it up by showing that Hogan had a relationship with her. It's not just this movie that's responsible. They did rely on the past 2 films of the character who we knew. And then we saw her here and she's like practice safe sex, and she had her funny jokes. She also had the happy thing to remind us that she is a loved one, not just for Peter, but for another character. They did do enough for me.
Okay, that's cool. All right. What does anyone else have to say? Did they do
Well,
enough?
I would say
Points of why.
Aunt May in the MCU, right? When she was first introduced, Civil War, was the first thing that was mentioned about her. She looked good. Dang, she looked sexy. Tony Stark, the big man Tony Stark, came in ready to flirt. He wasn't trying to get at her, but ready to flirt and stuff because she was so hot. And then you get the Homecoming. What's the first time Aunt May gets mentioned? The guy at the deli. What's the first thing to say? Oh, your aunt. Can I get her? Can I get her? Well, he didn't say can I get her, but he made a slick comment about his aunt, about how good she looked. They go to the restaurant. Someone makes a comment about how she looked. In these movies, right, up until the now, this is the best. This is the best she has ever been in any of the movies. Nobody's commenting on her looks. Nobody's just looking at her like she's a piece of meat or a piece of ass. Like, she's doing more. And overall, I think if she wasn't treated that way in these movies, that moment I would have probably felt something more for when she died. Tom Holland, I agree with Norman. Tom Holland sold that shit. If Tom Holland didn't sell it the way he did, I probably wouldn't be like feel as much as I needed to, because I felt more for how Tom reacted than what the whole scenario, the whole situation of her just dying. Because I was like, oh, she's dead. Bye. But This is the best she has been in all these movies. I will admit that. But her character from start to finish, not the best.
Hey guys,
Not
can
the
you
best
hear me?
on me at
I
all.
can't hear
Hey,
you.
J-Man.
What's up,
Can you
Jay?
hear me?
What happened there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But she,
We can hear you.
but overall, she sold it enough just to get by in this movie. But I wish Aunt May wasn't treated the way she was in the MCU this whole time, like that.
This wasn't an opportunity.
But she did just enough for me. She did just enough for me, Nerdman, to get to help
Just enough.
progress the story. Like she
That's
did
what
the
this
bare
film
minimum
should
at
be
least.
That's what this film should be called. Spider-Man just enough, done the bare minimum. That's what it should be
Barely
called.
that.
Can you hear me now?
Right?
Am I
Yeah, we
okay?
can hear you.
Yeah, we can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear
cool.
you. All right.
That should be the epitaph of this whole thing. Just
I mean,
enough,
look, Nerdman,
done the
real
bare
quick.
minimum just to get you, because it's emotionally manipulative at almost every point of the movie. People talk about like the fan service that they tried to do in the like last Star Wars movie. That Spider-Man sequence at the end was purely like them reacting to what audiences have been
No,
saying
yeah,
about
I was just trying to
Holland.
shut us up. but
Purely,
Nerdman,
that was done like specifically for that. It didn't make any sense. Why would you, if you had like no explanation was given from what happened in the film of why somebody who has an iron suit that has like nanotech that can like do has what does it have on it? It has like the spider thing turns into a drone. It has all this technology. Why would he suddenly just sew his own suit for out of nowhere? Not happened where he talked to Toby and Andrew and got inspired by them to do that kind of shit. That just came out of nowhere. Pure fucking fan service, emotional manipulation bullshit.
Those are,
It is,
I can't understand how those are your problems with the movie.
No, but I haven't finished, Jack. J-Man,
Oh, okay.
No.
sorry you've come into this, but
Yeah.
I was just curious. I know you love the movie.
I loved it, man.
Are you kidding me, J-Man? You love this movie.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I thought it was going to
I don't
be
think
look.
it's crazy at all.
And the thing is that like again, if you go by my emotional, when I'm watching superhero movies, I always go with hero, villains, story. That's just how my emotions work. And you saw Nerdman how I do my reviews, which is my space technique where I break it down by story, characters, artistry and pacing and all that. And I still got to a 9 out of 10. For me, it's like I thought this was going to be a big mess. I was on this channel saying this is going to be a disastrous mess. I made fun of the trailer. Everyone got mad at me. Remember? And I'm like, I don't know. I really liked it. For me, like all the Spider-Mans teaming up, just them talking. I was surprised at how slow they treated things. Like they just had a scene where they're just talking about being Spider-Man. I thought, wow.
Oh yeah, I love
cool.
those parts. I love those parts.
Right.
Like I said, I will give the movie that, but nothing else.
Yeah, I didn't want those to end.
Dude, Chillmonger, I literally turned to my buddy Sean. I was like, I could have this go on for like another 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah, if the other half, if the second half of that movie was just them chilling and talking, that would have been more enjoyable than the rest of this movie.
Yeah, like the thing is, this is a celebration. This movie is the proper way to celebrate all of the films that came before it. And anyone, if you look at the field,
I was with you until you said that.
No.
This is the exact improper way to celebrate.
No way. Everybody got their moments. The villains were treated better. The villains in this movie, like Jamie Foxx and Lizard, were better in this movie than in their other movies.
But that isn't hard.
JJ, man, I would say
hard.
this.
Hard, bro.
I would say Lizard was better in his first movie.
Oh no! And did you say Lizard was better?
Electro did get an improvement. Electro did get an improvement.
I didn't like Amazing Spider-Man Part 1. To me, Amazing Spider-Man Part 1 is just awful. I don't
Sandman was good, better in his own movie.
Sandman. No, I didn't say Sandman. Jamie Foxx and Lizard,
better.
but only because I hadn't watched the other two. I only said Jamie Foxx and Lizard, like Electro and Lizard, not the other guys.
Amazing Spider-Man. Have you seen it? The first one? Lizard's good in it.
No, I've seen and own every Spider-Man thing there is, including the Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah, but so
Hey,
you've seen
nothing wrong with the Japanese Spider-Man, Machine Gun
All right.
Kelly.
So just to tell you the premise of like this stream, because I want it to be a little bit different from like because we've already discussed it. I just have some. I wanted to explain my rating of now 6.4 because I think it's
Okay.
I think it's a decent movie, and I just wrote some notes down that I was thinking about, and I just wanted people to respond to the notes. And like, so it's not so long. I've only got like 3 more points, so I'm gonna say my next one. So the premise of how we get into the multiverse is all in all pretty silly,
Right.
but
I
handled
agree.
well enough. I think you're only nitpicking if you take if you have a real problem with it, a true umbrage with it. For contrast, the 90s animated kids show had a better ways to get us into the multiverse, but still, I think you're only nitpicking if you go, oh, Doctor Strange did this, because I think they handle that pretty well for the most part. It's quite logical that they get Doctor Strange out because they know that Doctor Strange would be able to handle all those villains very quickly. I thought it was a bit far-fetched that Peter Parker was spoiling the spell like he didn't tell him before, but again, these are nitpicks.
No, he did. Nerman, this is the thing. Nerman, this is the thing.
Bullshit.
Nerman, he did tell him. It's just that Tom Holland Spider-Man is an idiot.
No, they made Tom Holland.
He
explained
it. He explained it. Doctor Strange explained it. I give him that.
No, they don't. For this movie, they needed Doctor Strange and Tom Holland to be so stupid that the ridiculous chain of events that occurred so it could happen.
Okay, I'm gonna finish the paragraph. I'm sorry, and then we can just discuss it. So it would seem to me more plausible that Tom Holland would seek out Doctor Strange's help because of the multiverse spilling over into his universe, rather than Doctor Strange being the source of that spilling over into his universe. That would seem more plausible story to Doctor Strange in. But nonetheless, I didn't have a big problem with it. I thought it was handled fairly well.
I mean,
so
we're stuck with anytime. The reason I didn't give it full score is because there's going to be problems when you're dealing with multiverses or time travel or any of these kind of wonky things. There's going to be things that are kind of weird. Like if you they pulled characters out of time as well as space, right? Because Lizard, if they pull them out at that precise moment, well, then Doc Ock should be dead and Green Goblin should be dead, but they're both alive. So it's like, when did these, and it's not like they pulled it out.
Well, J-Man, if you go off Loki, we talked about this earlier from Paul's stream.
Oh, okay.
They would be, this is why I don't like the way they're doing the multiverse. When they put them back where they're going to go is going to create a branch where they will be their new selves.
Right.
And then
the
timeline that they're on will continue.
And you didn't have to cure them. You could have just done it anyway. You didn't have to cure them. You could have just done it anyway.
I think it's a Spider-Man thing that he would want to help cure the villains.
I have no issue with them curing them.
So what?
Because
they were taking those Doc Ock and Green Goblin and Electro were snatched just before they were about to get killed.
Yeah.
Peter Parker's brilliant plan is let's cure them. So that way, when we send them back to their deaths, they won't die.
No.
How does that work?
No. They're not going to die. They're
Why
changed. Because it's like this.
Spider-Man
Jaded. It's exactly this.
Wait, I can answer that. You're wrong.
Here's Doc Ock. Doc Ock is falling. He's snatched. He comes back. I'm good now. Boom. He's still falling. And he drowns.
Who's to say he returns at that exact place where he's about to drown?
Because why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Because
why would he be
Peter because Peter doesn't want to send him to where he would die, so he purposefully put him back. Same universe, or I mean not same universe, but
he had
back
no
in
control.
In the
They
new
had no
universe.
control on how he was
From
returned.
Endgame,
Wait, I think
Endgame,
you're
they
overthinking
established-
this. You have no idea when precisely when he snatched in that sequence of events. So, for instance,
No,
the
it was
Green
about when he was going to
What?
die.
What
They
What
all
are
say
you
so.
talking
but
about?
the Green Goblin, like for instance, he's the one who gets himself killed because he sends his what do they call it, the
The
hoverboard
glider.
or whatever
His
the fuck,
glider.
glider, he sends that into himself because he's still evil. So it's him who essentially kills him rather than Spider-Man. So
Wow.
if he's cured, he's not going to do that. With Doc Ock, I suppose, with him doing that whole sun thing, him and Spider-Man can quickly try and figure out a way of containing
No,
the problem
but-
rather than. Yeah,
So
go
let
on.
me see if
Go
I
on.
can
No,
get
okay,
straight.
no, I was gonna say, hold on. In Endgame, they established that the way time works is you don't, even if you precisely go back, you don't exactly, okay, if Electro's about to die and then he gets snatched away, it's just that he didn't die. It's now been altered, that now he has been moved, and then when he goes back, it's not like he precisely comes right back to him getting killed. It's like time has passed in that he just gets sent back 3 days later or 4 days later, and now he's in his own universe and he's like, where the hell am I?
If you're going to establish,
Hold
if
on,
you're
that
going
was
to-
from Endgame. That was from Endgame. And Endgame is wonky. Nobody's saying that this multiverse and this thing isn't wonky. It's wonky. But unfortunately, it's a concept that they went with, and we have to live with it. They did the best they could in a wonky concept. I mean, that's what I did knock off points for that. I did knock off points.
It doesn't have to be
Then-
that wonky, though. Like as you're
If
saying,
you have-
I mean, it's
Then
very
Doctor
easy. They
Strange
already
saying
had.
their fate is irrelevant. By your explanation, Doctor Strange going, it's their fate is a lie. It's meaningless because all you had to do was just bring them back to a different time. Like if this is a multiverse, and them sending them back opens up another stream, then that means there are an infinite amount of Green Goblins. There are an infinite of Doctor Strange. There's an infinite of all of them. Meaning, why is only one of each coming through conveniently? For that storyline to actually have any relevance, you can't have it that if they go back, it's a multiverse. Because then now there should be 10 million Doc Ocks showing up.
There
because
were
there's
at the end.
millions of multiverse.
Yeah, because Jaded, the spell started small and then it started expanding.
So
Doctor
what?
Strange came at the,
So what?
they just started small,
Only
so only a
let me
little
see if I
bit of
get
them
this
came
straight.
through first.
No. That's bad writing. Because
No, it's
apparently, for how
It's
many,
not bad
for
writing.
a week and a half, only 5 show up.
Yeah.
Only 5 show up. And then after a
only
week-
5 show up, and
Yeah,
then,
and then
more of
after a
them were
week-
coming.
Okay, but then but none of them come until the movie needs them to, so that Doctor Strange can show up and go, "Oh,
Also,
look, they're all
actually,
coming." They just
I
no. There was no ripple. There was no ripple when the first 5 came in. They just showed up. They
Yeah.
just appeared.
Because the
So
ripples
why
were
at the end
small
of
at
the
the
movie-
time, then they expand later.
Why? Why couldn't
It's
others?
magic. I don't know how this shit works.
Because the
There
They
was-
can start off small and the problem can get bigger.
Can I say
They
there
didn't
was a
have
problem
to.
that I had?
There was no ripple when Doc Ock came through. There was no ripple. There was no rippling in the sky when Doc
David, I'm
Ock
going to
showed
let
up.
you finish. But
There
like,
was no
you
rippling in
got to
the
let other
sky.
people speak. You got to let other people speak. One of the things that I will piggyback off Jaded in saying is it did seem like, again, this fan service over kind of logic of storytelling.
Yes,
It's
that's
only
all
people.
this
It's
movie
only
is.
people who know Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Why does Venom come through? Like, why does Tom Hardy's Venom come through? I mean, that makes no sense, does it?
In the Venom
What-
movie,
What would have brought
No.
him through the crack? He doesn't
Who
even
are
know.
all the other people
Yeah, and look,
coming
I'll
through?
say this.
I think he slipped through.
I'll say this.
Through
The thing with Tom Hardy Venom, that's the only thing that did not make sense with this.
That's the only
And
thing.
maybe in Electro, because what the way the spell works, everyone who knows who Peter Parker is Spider-Man should have came through. Now the Electro thing, yes, that's inconsistent, but the Venom thing is very inconsistent. They only did it; it was sloppy how they brought in Venom. He didn't know
Kato,
Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
why couldn't Venom have been the one near the end of the movie?
What do you mean?
Why couldn't Venom have been the one near the end of the movie with all the ripples?
Okay, guys.
Why couldn't
Okay,
Venom have
hold
been in
on.
No, because he already
Wait,
came
wait.
with
It's
one of the
ma-
little
it's
Let
ones.
magic.
J-Man speak.
Okay,
Let
guys,
J-Man
guys.
speak.
Pick and
It's
choose.
hold on. We're dealing with magic. This is not hardcore science. Why didn't every
Right.
single person in the entire every universe know Peter Parker come through?
Plot
Because they
convenience.
didn't. Why
Plot
don't hold on?
convenience.
Why don't all 10 people attack Bruce Lee at the same time? Because they don't. Right? Like, why do some
Yeah.
people
No,
stand
that's
back?
a different
Like,
comparison.
it's
That's
a movie
different
thing.
comparison.
And also, this is magic. We don't know how the spell works. Maybe if your DNA structure is this, you come through. Who knows? It could be anything. The fact of the matter is it's magic. Once someone says magic, it is a plot device and it's a bit lazy.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm
But
saying.
you're making it sound like it dismantles, like there's so much good
No,
nature.
it doesn't
in this movie.
dismantle the film.
Yeah,
It really doesn't, because
it doesn't dismantle it at
Jaded,
all.
I think a film lives and dies on how entertaining it is, not like basically
I want
you
story
can
consistency.
you can allow for plot conveniences if the film is entertaining, but the less entertaining the film is, the more those plot conveniences become like a flaw in the movie.
Okay,
But
so wait a minute.
very
If you like the
entertaining,
movie, okay, so what you just said is if you enjoyed the movie, the plot conveniences are not a problem. They're only a problem if you don't like the movie. Bullshit. I like
it's
the
not
movie.
that they're only a
Question.
problem.
Okay, Jaded,
Not
I got a
that
question
only-
for you. Are you a fan of Army of Darkness?
Again,
Okay,
you
so that
cannot
makes
compare
no
Army
sense.
of Darkness.
Evil Dead 2, he literally lands, he gets up, they all cheer for him,
That's
they love him.
comedy, but that's
Hold on.
comedy.
No.
It's the same thing about Daffy Duck getting shot in the face.
No, hold on.
Daffy
You didn't
Duck
let me
got
finish
shot
my
in the
point.
face and his beak went
I didn't
around.
finish my point.
How is that possible?
I didn't finish my
It's a
You haven't let him
show.
finish his point,
I-
Jaded.
At
But
the end of
I
Evil, hold on. At the end of Evil Dead
love
2,
the
which
passion.
I've seen 5,000 times, Ash gets sucked through the portal, he lands. They all say, look, he's the savior. And they're like, yay, the savior, yay. Then in Army of Darkness, he falls through and they take him, they're like, to the pits with him. I'm like, that didn't happen in part 2.
Oh, yeah,
That's plot
obviously.
inconsistency. So,
Okay,
but who
and I'm
cares?
calling
Army of
it
Darkness
out.
is like a top 10 movie.
Oh, we all
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it out. J-Man,
for me,
we all call it out. None of us are going, oh, well, maybe what happened was it was an alternate universe in
No,
the
I
second
called
and
it
the
out.
third.
I called it out.
Nobody,
I said it's wonky, but it
And
doesn't
again,
dismantle
here's
the
my-
movie. And it
here's the
wasn't
thing.
that bad.
It doesn't dismantle the movie, but I'm still calling it out. We still call it out.
I called it out.
Neither one of us are going to come up with some type of an excuse to justify it, right?
you can
Well-
call it out, but you can't say that necessarily makes because it's
Because
a
that's
plot
one
device.
out of a
It's a plot
dozen.
device.
It's
Wait a
constant.
second, Jaded. It's a plot device so that the premise of the movie can even fucking start, right?
Right.
Like that's basically it.
But you can't have plot devices
what
throughout
the
the
real
movie.
meat of a film is the characterization, it's the emotion, it's the thrilling action, it's all of those ingredients that make up what how
So then why did you have
satisfying
a
or how
problem with
good a movie
Infinity?
is.
Why did you have a problem with Infinity War and Endgame?
You've got
Why
a
did
good
you have a
point there.
problem?
I didn't have a problem with
My
No, you
problem,
did. Hot
my
Nerdman did.
problem with those movies is how widely overrated they are. But
No,
I can
that's
go into it. I can go into it about those particular movies, and I think to me those movies are doing something similar that this one is. Like fans
Thank
are
you.
blinding themselves, right, to certain things that really structurally like collapse the movie. And in Infinity War and Endgame, it's much, much more than in this movie. This movie
No,
just
it's
has
just as much.
kind of
It's just
magic
as
premise.
much.
It
It's
really
just
does.
as much.
I mean, and it does in Man of Steel as well. I mean, like,
I'm
to be
sorry.
fair, like,
There's too much
just
plot
be like the
convenience. I mean,
DCU.
come on. He brings them back. He brings them to his apartment. What are we gonna do now? Oh, don't worry. I got a magic Deus box of Machina from Stark Industries. Opens up the box and just suddenly has all this tech. Like, how is that not a Deus Ex Machina?
I mean, I wouldn't call it that.
Okay,
He has
that
Stark
was
Well,
Tech.
ridiculous.
He's
I mean,
had
how does
stuff
anyone
that
Peter
have
has
any
he's-
the Stark
powers?
Tech. And
He
it was
has
Yeah.
How does he
a
make
magic
web shooters?
box. He
How did
has
they
that
work?
boss that just happened to have all the things he needed because the story goes, we have no goddamn clue how we're going to get Peter Parker to even help these people. And he
Well,
goes, don't
I
worry,
think.
we'll have a
BB.
magic box in his
All right,
condo
look.
that
Because
has
I'm
the
I'm gonna call some order to this.
Come on.
First of all, I have an answer to this. Like the magic devices or science devices that a hero has along the way, especially if they've explained it for 2 movies with Stark Tech, doesn't really bother me. Things that more bother me is why you take Aunt May to a situation where, like, you take her to an apartment with 6 unknown villains. This is your Aunt May, like the woman you
Because
care about. Why do you
it's
take her to that apartment? Because you need the plot to have her there because she needs
yes,
to die.
so
That's
she
the
can
answer to
die.
that question. There's no good
Come
reason. Just
on.
like, why do you take Lois Lane onto a fucking ship with you? Why do they need Lois Lane on a fucking spaceship when they're coming down for Superman? There's no reason other than you need
There's
Lois
not.
Lane for Superman to escape on the ship. That kind of laziness I can't abide by. Having magic tools, magic weapons, that's the stuff.
Not when
Of
they
boring
pull it
fun.
out of their ass for no reason whatsoever, simply because they
No, but it
need it.
isn't for no reason because they've explained it's Stark Tech, and we already know that Stark can do fucking anything. He can
Yeah.
can figure
Right.
out time travel in a day.
That's
Right?
literal Deus Ex Machina.
But I mean, you're getting to the point where it's like, how does Spider-Man have web shooters? How does a teenage
No.
boy make those?
I'm not getting to that.
How did he make those? Okay, so explain to me how he made them. What materials? What materials did he go to the science lab and make them? I don't know. How does he make them?
No.
He did.
That's different. That's different, J-Man.
Why is that different?
Because easy. Because if Peter Parker had said, "What are we gonna do?" It's like, okay, wait. I know a place we can get something from Stark Industries. And if they had Peter Parker going, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker," or whatever, can we get some equipment that I need? And if so, because again, I know Stark because I'm his golden boy. So if they had it so that they made it that he went to some place and went, what equipment do we? And you see a giant, huge thing of a warehouse of equipment.
But it's Happy's apartment. Happy
That's
had
right.
it.
Why would? But he's
Didn't
going.
it make his costume in the last movie? That's the device that made the black and red costume at the end of the Far From Home movie. That was that
Right.
device. It can make stuff, wasn't it? Or wasn't it part of that device?
To be fair, like that device didn't make all the cures. Actually, it was Toby and Andrew who actually had to put in there.
Yeah, it only made the one.
Lab? Where did they get to? Where did that lab come from? Where
What do you
did
mean,
that
where
lab
did
come
the
from?
lab come from? I don't know. It's a set. It's on the fucking script.
No.
You have the interior.
They have no
fucking lab.
resources. No
Spider-Man
resources.
and his friends are hanging out.
No resources.
That's where
The
it
only
came
place
from.
they have is his condo.
The lab
Then
come
the
from?
movie
David,
goes,
come on,
we
man.
need a lab. So let's just have them find the lab. Why didn't they go to the lab in the first place? Why did he have to have that
Why
magic
didn't
box
they-
if he had access to the lab? Because the writing in this movie has no goddamn clue what they're doing.
So what would be your version to fix that? Like, see, hot takes.
Not have it at all. Not have
Nerdman
it
made
at
a
all.
point.
Do it right. Okay, I don't have a solution. I'm not the writer of this movie. They didn't come to me and say, Jaded, write this movie. Okay? They're the writers. They're the professionals. It's their goddamn job.
You
If
need
this
a
is the
professional.
best you can come
I don't
up
think
with
having a
is
lab.
pulling solutions out of your ass.
It's
calling
like
it.
You need a professional. Anyway,
Let's go to the like. See, like when Nerdman was saying, why would Peter bring these criminals back to where his aunt is? Now that is a legit point. So what I would have done is I would have just had it that Doctor Strange has a little area, leave them in that area and try to find cures. And once you find a cure, release them, cure them, then send them back. So,
but so what?
That's a fix. I can't fix an idea that's saying, well, we have a lab. Well, why would you have one? I don't know, because we have fucking labs in the world.
There
Labs
was a
exist in
line
the
had
world.
no
that
access
Hogan is
to
under
lab.
investigation for stolen Stark property. I didn't hear that line, but according to I Love Food 154, he says he heard
that.
a line.
I believe that could have been in there. Yes, that may have been in there.
No, I know why Peter would take the villains all at home at that point in the movie.
Because he has
there
no
was only
idea
one
what
place.
else to do with them.
There was
He
only-
could have easily have kept them at Doctor Strange's place.
No, he couldn't.
All right,
Remember,
I'm gonna move on to
that
the
was when
next
he
one.
was fighting with Doctor Strange, and he had to leave the sanctum.
And then he
So he went
teleported
to
up, and then
So he goes to the
I'm gonna
only
move on to
place
my
that's
next
safe
one.
he
for
beats
him.
Doctor Strange. He beats Doctor Strange in his own mirror universe by using the magic of geometry. I loved it. That was hilarious.
That's not
Give me
hilarious.
a break. And how
What do you
long is and how long does Doctor Strange get trapped in there? Until we better hurry. We don't know how long he's gonna be in there. Oh wait, how long is he in there? Until the movie needs him again. That's give me a break.
This is every movie and story in the history of the universe, though, Jaded. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah,
why
No,
is
it's
it
not.
like,
No, it's
like,
not.
how
No,
come
it's
the
not.
DeLorean
It
didn't
is.
get a flat
It is.
tire?
You
Like,
don't know
come,
how
like,
true
I don't
what
know,
he's
'cause
saying is.
Come on, it's
like-
Peter Parker beating a wizard in his own mirror universe by the use of geometry.
I
Now,
thought that
if
was a
that's
good
good
part of
enough
the
for
movie.
you, if
I
that's
actually
good
thought that was
enough for
kind of
you,
cool.
Bios con Dios.
Okay,
Bios
so
I'll
con
tell you
Dios.
what, I
you
thought
read
that was
haven't
kind of
any
cool, and I
reason
like that
to
because
otherwise.
one,
I found
Spider-Man
that
is the franchise
absolutely
player.
ridiculous.
That is exactly what happens in the comics, dude.
It happens in the comics all the
literal
time.
fucking thing that happens in the
What are
comics.
you talking
Basically,
about?
Spider-Man goes up
Give me
against
a
somebody.
break.
Wait.
Maybe in the 30s,
Wait.
maybe in the
Not
40s
in
and
the
50s, and
30s,
we all
right
trashed
fucking
how
now.
bad those
Right
comics
fucking
are.
now, and all the way. Spider-Man goes up against somebody who's like undefeatable. He goes up against the Hulk. He goes up against Doctor Strange, something like that.
You
And he
go
pulls something from his scientific mind
bullshit.
to be
One
able
of his
to beat
best
them.
storylines, one of the
Listen,
best Spider-Man
David, let
storylines
me
is
ask you a
Spider-Man
question.
versus
Let me
the
ask you a
Juggernaut.
question. David,
One
let
of
me
the
ask
best. No, let me
question.
finish.
Stop
One of
talking.
the
Let me ask
best.
you a question. Stop
Well,
talking for a
I'm
second. Let
answering
me
that
ask you a
first one.
question.
I'm answering that first one.
Okay, I'll
The
let you do
best
that, and then I'm going to
Spider-Man
ask you a question.
storyline, the best Spider-Man storyline is Spider-Man versus Juggernaut, one of the best amazing stories, where Spider-Man is going up against something, and they explain everything that he does to make sense. He does not go and suddenly go, I'm going to pull a bullshit line.
But a lot
He
of the
literally
time, they
blinds
don't
them.
do that in the comics, dude.
Huh?
A lot of the time, they don't explain every single thing Spider-Man does.
And when
just
they
go,
don't,
"Oh,
we laugh.
so
And you're
let
right,
me ask
Nerd
you a
Man.
question,
And when
David.
they don't,
Let
we
me ask you a
laugh at
question.
how ridiculous it is.
Let me ask
When
you a
they do
question,
that,
Jaded.
we laugh at it.
Let me ask you a question, Jaded. Okay, how does geometry work in the mirror universe?
However, the movie wants it to. However, because the
Good
movie doesn't know how
answer.
to get them out.
However, the fucking writer wants it to, because a mirror universe doesn't exist in reality. So it's what the
Obviously.
writer's imagination fucking says. How the fuck
This
do
is
you know how geometry works in that
because
situation?
Doctor
So
Strange
it's not a
says,
plot hole.
because Doctor Strange says, this is my universe. I am in total control of it. He says that in the movie. This is my universe. I'm in total control, except by geometry. It's why can't Doctor Strange have just stopped the train, grabbed a Spider-Man in his thing, because it's his mirror universe. He can control everything. He can make the city. Doctor
Maybe
Strange.
he's saying
Doctor
that.
Strange. Doctor Strange can make the city turn upside down, can cause the train to go fly in space, but apparently can't take the train and just have it encompass Spider-Man. Spider-Man is immune to the mirror universe powers of Doctor Strange in his own created universe.
Precisely
Come
what
on.
I can show you an episode of the animated series where Spider-Man.
We're
does
not doing
exactly
that. We're talking about this movie.
Anyway,
We're talking
Killmonger,
about a
do
movie.
you have an answer to Jaded before I say my next point?
No, I want to hear your next point. What was your first point that we were on right now? Was it about the multiverse? I feel like if you go off of Peter just being sensitive and being like, okay, you gotta let Ned know. Fine. Well, how about my girlfriend? Oh, May's important. You know,
Come
Happy.
on,
I think Happy was the one who, but Happy Hogan was the one that made the spell go berserk. I blame Peter. I blame 17-year-old Peter. Sometimes I gotta forget you're just a kid. I do like how they changed it from the trailer, which I believe was the original cut, but then they heard all the complaints and they scheduled reshoots. So they're like, okay, let's make it sound like he's done this to Wong before. Let's make it sound like Wong is allowing it this time. Let's make it sound like Doctor Strange has everything under control, just so we can make him not look incompetent. I feel like they did that just because the trailer backlash. So I was okay with it.
Yeah.
My favorite line in this movie was 3/4 into the film, like near the end, and Spider-Man once again says, "Sorry, my fault." And I went, Peter, everything in this movie is your fault. Everything that's been happening is your fault. Like, how many times can he say, "I'm sorry, it's my fault"? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, J-Man, you respond to that, and then I'm going to say my next point right after.
Yeah, I'm just like, I think it's like you're making a lot of points that are points against films in general and story. It's like Craven's Last Hunt is a great story. Craven drugs Spider-Man and buries him alive for a couple of days. How did Craven get the one up on him? I don't know, because J.M. DeMatteis wanted that.
No. They showed it in the comic. They showed it in the comic of Craven. One up here.
Why couldn't Spider-Man? And then let's say if Spider-Man had beaten that, then he would have said, "Well, how did he beat that?"
No. Because I'm taking the story as it was. The Craven the Last Hunt is considered very well because
it doesn't
they explain everything. You can't just pick a random comic.
No, but you have to go by the logic of the story being told, of the world and the story being told, how that world operates. If they set up, and you asked a good question to me about Endgame earlier and why I dislike it. If they set up within the film that this is how our world works, fuck.
But they don't. They change it whenever they feel like it.
Let me finish. They set up, this is how our world works. This is the science and whatever of our world, right? If they then set that up and they establish that and a character tells you this is how it works, and then they go against that and they do that multiple times, that then annoys me. That stops me from being able to invest and immerse myself into the film. But what they did there did not, in my opinion, contradict the logic of what they
there is
set
no
up.
logic.
This universe works like that universe, i.e. the universe of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay,
now
hold on. Here's the problem with the MCU. Their logic is whatever happens is going to happen. We can do whatever we want. That's how their universe works. We can do whatever we want. There's no logic to break. Give me a rule. Give me a rule on the MCU. Give me a rule. Give me a rule of how the MCU world works. Give me a rule. For them to break the rule, there has to be a rule. Give me a rule on how their world works.
Like, what do you mean rule of the like?
I can give you a rule.
Okay, first of all, it's like, look, these are fantasy films. You have hold on. You have to buy into the fact that there's going to be magic and there's going to be things that aren't going to be explained properly. This is not 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
Obviously.
This is literally fantasy worlds. To me, my grandfather, for example, is like, I don't like this Spider-Man shooting webs. It doesn't make sense, and he's out. Right. So look, you're willing to accept the fact that a kid with no resources and no money can make web shooters. If you're willing to accept that, why can't Doctor Strange do this? And yeah, Spider-Man can beat him in his own game. Like, we're not going to sit here and get those Marvel cards out and look at their power levels and be like, well,
that's not what I'm doing. Not even close.
Power cards were cool, man.
I'll answer that, J-Man. Hold
on, one more thing. It's like, look, these movies, for me, I'm a comic book fan. I have to have some emotional investment in what's going on. I love Spider-Man. He's swinging around. He's doing stuff. Is some of the story a little bit weird? It is. But you know what? It's weird. A few things you're like, hey, that's kind of weird. How did that happen? Or how does this work? But I have this problem with all movies, all superhero movies, anything to do with fantasy and time travel. My wife was like, wait, well, how does this magic make sense? I'm like, well, it's a little weird. So it has to kind of make sense in the movies world that they're doing. And my problem with Eternals, as an example, was they would set stuff up in Eternals and there'd be text saying the Eternals are this and this. And then they would contradict that in the movie. And you're like, yeah, but earlier in the movie, you said this. It's like, oh, it's not that. Well, we subverted your expectations or we tricked you. But that's not tricking me. That's you lying to me as an audience member and then changing your mind later.
Well, why is it different? Why is it different for the Eternals and every other movie? Why can't you just apply that same reasoning? Well, we just have to accept it.
But it's also
only
boring.
case
And
is
the
no
characters,
problem.
hold on, but Eternals, it's boring. The characters are awful. The story doesn't make sense in any way. The world it creates doesn't make sense actually if you actually dig deep into it.
Okay, I agree.
But Spider-Man is more like, look, it's magic and multiverse. I was never a fan of multiverse stuff at all. And you guys know this.
Okay.
I said this on thing. I was like, I didn't like Loki. I hated that show. I don't like this idea that everyone looks different. I'm like a mirror universe Spock guy. Goatee, that's the difference enough, right?
Okay.
So, but the fact of the matter is that I can't apply what I think is good in films. I'm looking at the movie and watching it for what it's giving me. This is what it's presenting me. And it's presenting me with some flaws, but it's presenting me with a lot of great positive stuff, which for me...
I'm going to move on to...
No, I want to get back to this because you guys totally deflected. You cannot use... I'm asking... Give me a rule of the Nerdman. You said as long as the movie gives you rules, as long as the movie gives you, what's the rule?
To give you a rule?
Give me a rule of the MCU.
Magic exists.
Okay, but how does magic work? There is no rules.
How about you just provide the contradiction instead of asking for us to do it? Just tell us what was the contradiction from its own like rules.
No, I'm saying that the MCU. I'll give the idea of the Matrix. With the Matrix, they set rules on how the Matrix works,
and they don't break those rules. But what was the MCU rule that was broken?
There is no MCU rules. That's my point.
All right,
they can do whatever they want. Ned can now suddenly learn magic because the movie goes, we want Ned to have magic. Well, how does magic work in the movies?
Was he using Doctor Strange's signaling ring?
Can I give you another
whenever
rule?
the movie wants it to.
Can I give you another rule? There's loads of rules in the MCU. All right, if you shoot someone, they die. In the MCU,
Coulson.
If you shoot a human being, he dies. That's a rule. Someone without powers, they'll die, right? If you blow them up, they'll die. Aunt May does, right? If you stab them, kill them, whatever, that's a rule. So if they break that, if suddenly somebody who's completely human, like for instance, say, Black Widow or her sister or whatever, completely human as far as we know, survives, falling down to several things. I would say that is a contradiction to the rules of the MCU.
Nerdman, you're right.
You can say that is an actual flaw.
I agree with you, Nerdman. The best we can come up with, the MCU is if you shoot somebody, somebody dies. Now, what are the rules in the Matrix? What are the rules in the Matrix?
I think Matrix is pretty
rules in the Matrix. I can give you dozens of rules on how the Matrix works.
So in Matrix Part 1, at the end of Matrix Part 1, Neo can now do anything because he controls the Matrix.
Right.
So in Matrix Part 2, 4,000 Agent Smiths attack him.
Right.
Why doesn't he just fly away? Why does he
I agree.
Why does he do hand-to-hand combat?
You're right, J-Man.
He doesn't need to.
You're right, J-Man. That's why I trashed Matrix 2 and I trashed Matrix 3. Why? Because Matrix 2 took the rules of Matrix 1 and said, fuck them. We don't care.
Remember,
and I trashed those movies for doing it.
So hold on. When Doctor Strange got that magic ring in Doctor Strange Part 1, when they're all training, all of those guys were opening up little things, and they had zero training of magic. They just started. It's like his first week at the magic school, they gave him that ring, and he was already doing stuff. So
but they showed him how. They showed him how.
But Ned has watched things that
do you want to know a contradiction?
Jaden, I'll say this. Jaden, and Jaden, I'll say this. I'll say this.
Okay, let me give my contradiction.
Well, you go first. I'll go after you. You go first. I'll go after.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a contradiction that happened in the MCU, and it's a blatant contradiction. Okay, Hulk and Thanos punching Tony Stark and Captain America in the face. Should have killed them.
Right.
By any metric of the logic that we understand within the and how things work, him punching them, Thanos specifically, but actually Hulk, punching them directly to the face because they're human, and that's got more than the force of a bullet. Because
I disagree with both of
those. I presume. Wait, Killmonger. If you shot Captain America in the head, would he die?
With a piercing bullet, I believe so.
No, any regular bullet
Well,
is still human.
Well, the force of Hulk's punch, do you think it's more than a bullet?
Yeah, but the surface is much more wider.
See what I mean?
And
This
the
is
speed.
we gotta be able to figure out the mathematical way of trying to.
The speed of a bullet is faster than a punch.
When Thanos punched in Infinity
Well,
War,
I would say
when
this.
Thanos punched Captain America, my immediate thought was, oh my God, they just killed Captain America. Because Thanos punching Captain America should have caved his skull in.
Based off
the
what?
Next scene, Captain America's up, not even a bruise on his face. Don't tell me that there are rules in the MCU. Please.
Okay, hold on.
There is rules. But when they contradict what they set up, yes, and they're breaking some of the rules. But I'll say this real quick about what you guys brought up. If we go back to Infinity War, and I want to get to the whole magic thing. If I see Hulk,
it wasn't the Sinister Six, it was the Sinister Five.
If I see Hulk fight Thanos and Hulk can't even make him bleed, Iron Man shouldn't be able to make him bleed. It's established that Hulk is a far superior being on team than Iron Man. Now, when it comes to that type of stuff, no, that doesn't mean there's no rule. They just was being inconsistent with who is stronger than who and stuff. But to be fair, Iron Man has defeated Hulk before, so it's like not even a shock that he made Thanos bleed. But
we didn't.
Wait,
he did. Jaded in Avengers 2, he literally Jaded in Avengers 2, Iron Man punched the Hulk and Hulk went to sleep. And then the next scene, Bruce Banner was laid out in a ship holding covers because he was Bruce Banner.
Yeah, he
literally knocked out the Hulk. Iron Man won that fight.
Dropping him into a building and used the Hulkbuster suit to do it.
It doesn't matter. He still won the fight. Even though he should never won, he won the fight.
He won the fight.
That's his point. He won the fight. But look, let me get back to the magic thing.
No. How he won the fight is just as important. Okay, you're saying Iron Man beat the Hulk with his Mark IV suit, and it was a fair fight.
All right, let me ask this. In the comics, what's stronger, the Hulkbuster or Hulk?
In the comic books, I will answer. No. With that, if you're talking comics, I'm going to paraphrase Stan Lee. Whoever comic it's in, they will win the fight. That's how it works.
No.
Daredevil lost to Namor in his own book. But anyway.
No. When it's about who wins. Spider-Man, no.
So
you're talking about comics.
You're
talking about comics. It's a segue.
No. I asked a question. In the comics, who is stronger?
Who cares?
Or Hulk?
What's your point, Kate?
Answer my question. I can get to my point.
If you tell me what your point is.
Answer the question first, and I can get to my point.
What's your point?
Look, what I'm trying to say.
Mexican standoff. Answer the point, JD.
What's your point?
What I'm trying to get to is that in no way in the MCU should Hulk be losing to Hulkbuster armor. But hey, it is what it is. He lost. This is not the comics. Even though Hulk should have definitely won the fight, it's trash that Iron Man won. Hulk should have won that fight easily.
Okay.
Wanda
you're on my
possessing the Hulk, so he wasn't.
Their own rules because there are none.
He wasn't.
You didn't agree with the result of the movie.
And Jay,
I'm going to move on to my next fucking point. Executive decision. I'm moving on to my next point so I can get through this. I've only got 3 more points anyway. So
2-1.
I wanted to shout out before to say why to this movie, because I think the villains were handled really nicely. I thought the performances, specifically by the fact that they made Electro better than he was, and he had a couple of good
Oh, yeah,
jokes. I did
definitely.
actually like, even though it didn't make much sense, I like that joke, and like he thought Spider-Man was black, because of the Miles Morales.
No,
Reference.
doesn't he say?
Not
Doesn't he
because
say
I'm black,
maybe there's a black? Doesn't he
Yeah.
say maybe there's a black Spider-Man somewhere?
Yeah, he says that.
Yeah,
That's what-
exactly.
I like
That was
that.
a
That
Miles
was good. I love that.
and I thought Brew was good, and I thought in general Jamie Foxx was good. I thought J. Jameson stole the show. I thought he was
Really?
excellent. Yeah, I thought every
Okay.
scene J. Jonah was in was excellent, and I did really like Willem Dafoe's performance in this. I think the whole of his arc didn't quite track as well.
I would
I also
agree with that.
I very much thought that
And I am back finally.
those two got the assignment more, because this is going to lead into my major criticism. Those two got the assignment more than any of the actors in this movie, which is be
What is it? What do you mean by
what
that?
you were in your former franchise. Be that character. Step right out of that world into the new world and be the character. And to be fair to all of the villains, even though they didn't get as much time, for the most part, all of the actors who played the villains did precisely that. They are seasoned actors, veteran
I thought
actors
they
who
are.
are very good, and they did that. What do you think of
Yeah,
that?
well, one thing you
Oh,
got to
no,
give props to
absolutely.
John
Yeah, I
Watts
think-
for. He may not be the best Spider-Man, but he gives some solid villains like Vulture, Mysterio, and he did a good job with the villains. So even though they was already established, he at least made sure to stay as consistent as possible with what was established.
To be fair, I
The
don't
only
think
thing
he
that was
did
a little
good
bit off.
job.
The only thing that was a little bit off was Electro, because I came back with a fade. He's super swagged out. That was just a little bit off, but he did a pretty good job staying as consistent as possible.
I don't think
making
he did
sure
good
the
with
villains are
Vulture. I think
represented
Michael
as
Keaton
well
did
as they
good
are.
with Vulture.
Well, say
serious.
that again,
Michael
man.
Keaton did better with Vulture than the actual script.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
He elevated
I
the
mean, it's Michael
Vulture,
Keaton.
definitely.
he elevated that way beyond what it was on the paper.
Because
I'm
I
sorry.
think the Vulture is one of the lamest Spider-Man supervillains.
Oh my god, he's my
No,
favorite. He's my favorite Marvel
Really?
villain and my favorite
Hold on,
Spider-Man
the
No,
villain.
old
no,
one
no.
or the
I
younger
don't think
one?
he's a bad villain. I think that
Okay, man. Do you mean the old Vulture, who was the older man, or the newer one, the young one?
No, the old man Vulture. The
Really?
real Vulture.
Wow.
You know what? Read Funeral Arrangements. It's
I
spectacular.
have.
I was blown away.
Really?
Like, I
Oh,
thought it was
okay,
so
okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
No, man, I did want to say this real quick about the quick thing about the magic thing. My only two little gripes regarding the magic stuff was that I believe Doctor Strange should have won that fight, and also the whole Ned sling ring stuff was whack. But that's about it.
But I
That
like
was
the
it.
fact
That's
Spider-Man
all?
found a way.
all.
I like the fact Spider-Man found a way to beat him. I honestly
Yeah,
do.
I understand he
That
found a way, but to be
scenario-
fair, but
because
you
it
have
was
to
better
remember,
than it was. Remember, it was better than what fucking Iron Man did with Hulk, where he just beat him in a fist fight. That's what
Right.
pissed me off about that.
Okay.
I was
Birdman,
like, wait a
I have
second, you're just gonna beat Hulk in a fist fight? You don't do some thing where you trap him in something where the more
Wanda.
he hits it, it's like it's
Wanda.
taking his strength or something like that.
Wanda
You know,
is
Scarlet
amazing
Witch.
in the
Beat him.
MCU. Wanda can do
That's what pissed
anything.
me off
There's
about
nothing
that,
to stop
The
me about
brainwashed.
Wanda.
right?
Hex.
Right. Whereas this
Wanda
one,
Magic.
can do anything.
Actually,
You cannot
it
tell me
actually-
anything about Wanda.
thank you for speaking over me.
Oh, I
Whereas
apologize.
this one,
Birdman, sorry.
Whereas this one, it actually played to what Spider-Man's actually good at, science and mathematics and strength. And he used
Norman,
that
I do
to
not
beat
disagree with that. But
Doctor
I will-
Strange in that situation. So I didn't mind that.
No, but if we remember what happened in Infinity War, it's the same Doctor Strange that took on Thanos with 6 Infinity Stones. But little old Spider-Man beat him.
A friend. You don't go quite as hard.
No, I know. I know he's not trying to go hard and kill him, but he was literally keeping up with a man with an alien with 6 Infinity Stones. He could have easily stopped that fight. He could have easily stopped that fight before they even got to the mirror dimension.
He was trying to convince Peter, dude. I mean,
and that's the thing. There was no convincing he can do. Just lock the kid away and keep him away. This is what he could have done.
Hey, Docs, was it entertaining?
Yeah, it looked entertaining.
Was it entertaining, that sequence?
I'm not saying that it's not entertaining. I'm just saying
it was an entertaining sequence. Like Spider-Man fighting Doctor Strange. Whatever, how it's resolved. I mean, some people would go out and say, hey, Spider-Man should have beat Doctor Strange in that scene.
Finish that sentence. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad it was, as long as the end result was satisfactory. That is the key problem with all of these MCU fanboys and DCU fanboys. As long as the resolution is entertaining, you don't care how they get there.
I care if they contradict their own universe.
Said you don't.
No, I said if they contradict their own universe. I don't think that.
But okay, how's this?
Contradiction of what is set up in that movie.
Okay, Nerdman. I'm gonna establish a scenario for Nerdman and for J-Man.
Okay.
While Spider-Man was in the mirror universe, if Spider-Man was able to escape by going, hold on, let me put on some red ruby slippers, click my heels 3 times, and he escaped, would you have had a problem with that?
Chillmonger and J-Man, you can answer that.
Yes, I would have had a problem.
Why? Well, hold on, J-Man, and I'll say why. You don't know how the rules work. You don't know how magic works. There's no rules.
Well,
so
if Spider-Man webbed around and found ruby slippers and thought, "Hey, I tried these and they worked,"
you would have no problem with it.
That would be weird. But he's using science.
No.
It's a quick little thing.
I'm saying Spider-Man could have done anything to escape the mirror universe. And if I were to complain about it, your response would have been, but it's magic. We don't know how magic works.
Right.
You need to provide a contradiction to the way that he solved the mirror dimension. If you can find that, then you can say they broke a rule.
Okay, but I'm saying it's not that they broke a rule. The movie could have done anything. Anything, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how stupid, it would have been okay.
No. You're confusing with the rules. If you would have found ruby slippers and you just say it works, then it does work. That's not breaking a rule.
I'm saying I wouldn't like it
because I wouldn't have liked the idea of using ruby slippers. So there's a difference between what the rules and versus what I like. If there's magic is magic, so anything's possible, right?
Right.
So if he would have said, I got ruby slippers and these worked, you'd be like, well, I guess they work because it's magic. That's not breaking.
No. They don't explain that.
I wouldn't like it because that would be lame. But he won in a cool way.
They don't explain, just like the movie didn't explain that him doing the webbings that way.
How do you explain geometry being the thing that takes you out of a mirror universe? How do you explain that?
You can't. You can't.
You don't need to deeply explain it.
You don't need to explain it.
You don't need to deeply explain that.
Can I say why your example doesn't work with the ruby slippers? Because that's a reference to something that already fucking exists.
So what if Spider-Man?
And then we would think, why are they referencing the Wizard of Oz in the middle of a Spider-Man?
Okay, so I'll forget
that. Doesn't
Spider-Man goes. So then Peter Parker goes. So Peter Parker's going, I need to figure out how to get out of here. I'm gonna clap really fast. He just comes up with it. He just comes up with the idea of clapping really fast.
Nothing like that happens.
And if he did that and somehow clapping is in magic terms the equivalent of opening a portal, then that's what it is.
He's not a magician.
Hold on. That's not breaking a rule. We just would have thought it's lame. He did it in
I'm not
cool
saying
way.
It's not that it's breaking a rule. I'm saying that Spider-Man could do anything.
Right, and they chose to use
Anything.
his strengths,
He
which
has
is
no access
geometry.
to
If you don't
magic.
like that, that's fine. But it's not breaking a rule because it's magic.
I'm
Like,
not saying
you're saying you're
Same,
angry
man.
because
This
it's
is the
breaking a
same
I'm
rule.
saying there
argument I
are
have.
no
This is
rules.
the same.
I'm
This is
saying
precisely
there
the
are
same.
no rules. I'm not saying that there was a rule and they broke it. I'm saying there are no rules. So because there are no rules, anybody can do anything, and everybody's response is, as long as it was entertaining, it's
Right.
okay.
And look,
Right.
wait.
And I'm going, that's not good enough for me.
I'll say this about it. My whole issue, I'm fine with them doing magic spells. But Nerman, share my screen real quick. My biggest issue with the sequence is that Doctor Strange, and it deprives the problem with all these OP powerful characters in these movies and stuff because they don't know what to do with them. This is what he did to Loki, who was also a very magical being, and he absolutely took Loki out the equation by making him fall through a portal for 30 minutes.
But as long as it's entertaining, who cares?
And look, this thing. Where was this Doctor Strange? This competence, this level of thought when dealing with Spider-Man. You know, my issue isn't the spells. My issue is Strange's intelligence of how he's dealing with the situation. His competence. It's not there. It's inconsistent, and I didn't like that about.
So I'm gonna go on to my next point because I've got
real quick. It's the same problem with Thor in the MCU that me and you both have. He's powerful one moment, powerful this moment.
I think, for instance, when nanotech creates magic stuff, that's a contradicting thing. Like,
why?
You know,
why? Why is that contradicting?
Well, because for instance, I'll tell you why that's contradicting. Because you take a scenario like this. The MCU tries to say that magic is just, like truth law. Magic is just science, but like a science that we don't understand. So you're trying to tell me that Thor's when Odin tells the Mjolnir that whosoever shall hold this thing who's worthy can have the magic of Thor. You're trying to tell me that's fucking science that human beings don't understand? When he does that,
why
and
is that a problem, nerd man?
So
you don't know what the rules are.
I'm trying to say that if Tony can make something that can hold those Infinity Stones, then he should be able to, through science, make a hammer that only somebody can pick up if they're worthy.
Okay, but why? But why is that a problem, man?
Because
we don't know how nanotech works in this MCU. We don't know what the rules are.
But the nanotech is science based.
Some form
the nanotech is based in science, nothing
for
magic.
It to be that you can only pick something up if you're fucking worthy. That can't be science. That's bullshit. Like, you can't.
How do you know? You don't know how science works in the MCU. You don't know how science works in the MCU. You see the ridiculous.
Science works consistently in the MCU. It's consistent with the kind of, even though.
Wait a minute. You mean the science?
Wait a second. Let me finish my point so that you can understand what I'm saying. It's consistent with the idea of science enough, even though it's far, far more advanced, that that does not make sense. The technology in the MCU, yes, it's way, way more advanced than human technology, but it's consistent. For instance, we're looking into like nanotechnology and how that kind of can work.
Okay.
Right? We're already doing that in the real world. So the fact that the MCU has just developed it at a much more advanced kind of rate and doing things that we know probably human beings will never get nanotechnology to do. Nonetheless, we still understand that it's based upon something in the human world. Most of the stuff of the technology is based around
science,
and
works.
Okay,
J-Man next, and then Jaded.
Give me one thing. Okay, forget about this movie just in general. Magic in entertainment, magic either in like a superhero comic or a movie or whatever. We do not understand magic because it's not real. So we have to bow to the creator of that product or writer and believe that the way that they're portraying this magic is the way it works. So because we can't judge it on real world terms, the only method to judge it is to judge it by enjoyment. So,
No,
for example,
no, that's
hold on.
not it. No.
Okay,
Hold on.
David, you speak, and then I want
Hold on.
Killmonger
It's
because
like-
he's gonna leave, and he wanted to
Yeah.
say one more thing.
You got to do a leap. You got to do a leap of faith a little bit, right? It's like, look, how does
No,
magic work? I don't know how it works. I don't know how magic works. So if I don't know how it works in the real world because we have nothing to judge it against, I'm judging based on what I see. So if Peter Parker does some lame thing, I'm like, oh, that was kind of lame. They could have come up with a better idea. Well, they came up with this idea. If you think it's lame, that's cool. If you don't, you're like, okay. It's like magic isn't real. And you're saying there's rules there's no rules for magic because magic isn't a rules-based system. It's like science is a rules-based system. You can't say, like, when Tony Stark discovered a new element in part 3 or so, I was like, that's kind of crazy, right? Because I have real world knowledge of discovering elements. Is not like, oh, look, I discovered an element. Oh, look, I discovered an element. Right? It's like I have real world knowledge. But if Doctor Strange opened a portal, I don't say, that is very lame. How does he open portals? Why is it yellowy? Why isn't it blue? I don't know, because they fucking made it yellow and he can open portals. Like, right? Like, it's like you have to judge it by how they visualize it. Like in the movie Dark City, when they use their mind powers, it's like little waves. Why is it waves? Why would it be waves? That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know, because the guy made it waves. He could have made it green energy. He could have made it pink. I don't know. If you would have made it pink, if Doctor Strange had pink portals open, people would be like, that
is not even close to my
It is what you're saying. You're saying this doesn't make sense in the rules and the logic. There's no rules. Well, yeah, there's no rules.
Jay did respond to that, but do it in timely manner, because I want Killmonger.
I will be as quick as I can. In response to your statement about science, okay? Wait a minute. Why are you having problems with the science in the MCU? You mean the same science that allows a radioactive spider to give a kid superpowers? You mean the same science that's consistent that allows gamma radiations to make Bruce? No, I'm sorry. I can do the exact same thing everybody else does. Okay, this is not science.
So why don't you have a problem with that?
Pardon?
Why don't you, Killmonger, say what you want to say before you go? So, pardon me.
About what's his name, Electro. It was weird because the only people who were allowed to enter was anybody who knew who Peter Parker was. But the line at the ending about, I wish Peter Parker was black. I thought he was black because he's from Queens. It's like, you're supposed to know who Peter Parker is. And I can accept that Electro is not the same Electro from the movies we saw in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It is just a similar looking one with a similar story, because he did tell Sandman how he got his powers, except this one just happens to know Peter Parker. I can accept that. But then when you're in there
but he doesn't know Peter Parker.
Yeah, that's
he
the
didn't
problem.
know what he looked like.
You know, like, I don't understand that logic. To me, that sounds like, you know when we criticize the Hollywood people for being like checkboxy, like you wanted black representation in there, so you thought it would be that kind of stuff. It felt like someone late in the game said, it would be cool if we do it at a Miles Easter egg. And they were like, yes, mission accomplished. We talked about the Black Spider-Man. We're doing such a service.
It would have been cool to have him in there, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that have been a cool little end surprise to have Miles?
I thought that was an Easter egg.
I didn't need him, but it could be done well. Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I'm going to go on to my next
criticism
because I've got to go soon. I've got my Christmas party for work soon. I'm literally at work at the moment. So
I killed too much time. I apologize.
Okay. It's okay, man. I love your passion.
You just got to love the MCU, man.
So this is my last criticism. I might as well just get all of it out of the way. And this is my major criticism. The cheap way the film tries to elevate Tom Holland by turning the Spidey interactions into an SNL skit is just like very, very glaringly obvious. It's like they give him no competition in terms of giving Andrew or Toby something to do. They rely just on the fact that Toby and Andrew are there, and we're just gonna, we as an audience have to add all the stuff, the emotion, because they're not performing how they were in their own movies. They're not acting like they were in their own movies. You don't have Andrew speaking in that weird staccato speech pattern. No, he was not. He wasn't in the Spider-Man suit doing all the multi-layered kind of like quips that he usually does. You had none of the really.
They were toned down.
I
They were
found
toned down.
Toby surprisingly stoic. He was just
Yeah.
standing around like.
He-
This is
was
the most
very- he
emotional
was
Spider-Man, the
very
one who's
calm,
like always,
very
the
polite.
meme of the crying and all of that. It was okay. So
There was
let
no
me
crying.
finish this.
Toby was not
This is the
crying.
definition of just below competent filmmaking, unoriginal, lacking personality, truly no unique voice to this movie at all. I feel the feel of it's like the film direct. This feels like a film directed by committee rather than someone with anything original or unique to say about Spider-Man, the multiverse, death, trauma, or any of the spectrum of things this film tries to explore. Okay? The film is a one-trick pony, put old things we love on the screen, make it semi-coherent, job done. Then added to that, they cheaply try and address all the glaring flaws of this underwhelming Spider-Man franchise in the last 5 minutes of the movie with no setup or even reason why it's being done, just to curry favor with those who criticized the former movies, and miraculously it worked.
What do you mean by that
That's
last
my
part, Nerd?
basically Tom Holland
I'm not
suddenly
challenging,
becomes
I'm just asking.
the actual friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in the last 5 minutes of the
Oh,
movie.
okay,
for
I
no
see what
fucking
you mean.
reason.
He's the real Spider-Man.
Nerman, I'll say
Right?
this.
You
I'll
mean
say
when
this.
after he gets his apartment and starts swinging around? Is that what
Yeah.
you're referring
Yeah.
to? Okay.
Except he has no
And
one. He
that's
doesn't
why
have
I
at that point.
can't give this movie any more than 6.4%.
What was your
Spider-Man.
statement, man? I apologize.
60. Like, hey, I'm coming out momentarily. Really, I'm just on a Skype call. Sorry. No problem.
Skype call.
He's on a
That makes it
business
sound
call.
official.
He's on a business call.
I feel that
Oh, you go,
Spider-Man
Kamari, I'll grab you.
he's supposed
See, I
to
told
get
you I've got literally 10 minutes though. But
with great
if you
power
can
there
respond
must
to those criticisms, I'll go Jaded, then J-Man. Sorry,
Wait,
Chillmonger.
Chillmonger's already in the heat of it.
Killmonger's got to leave.
there
Chillmonger's
must
gotta leave.
also come great responsibility. He hasn't been given that line apparently until this moment here, this movie here with Aunt May, as well as him about to kill the Goblin, but the Toby version of Peter Parker. That would be, is that Peter Parker 2? Because Tom Holland's Peter 1, right?
He was Peter too.
I don't even remember.
In the movie, he's
I don't
Peter
know.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Peter 2. Tom is Peter 1. Just remember that one, K-Dot. When he's about to kill him,
Toby said Andrew's amazing though.
that's because of the movie. That was the Easter egg. That was cool. Look, he does become Spider-Man. So it's not like it comes at the end like, whoa, the last 5 minutes he becomes Spider-Man. No, he needed these crucial bits that all the other
No.
Spider-Man.
Let me get this right, because I think Tom Holland is the best thing in this movie, even though I think it's by default, some of it, even though he does a good job, I think a lot of it's by default because they just had those guys just turn up as the actors, not as the actual characters they played in the former movies. You know, it was a lot of tell, don't show. You know, they have show, don't tell.
It was a lot of remember.
This was tell, don't show, right?
No, it was remember, don't
but
exposition.
But yeah, through exposition. But in any case, what I'm talking about is that even though they did a really great job of giving him the consequences, right, which was, you know, no pun intended, quite organically done.
I wouldn't have thought of the
By
pun.
the end of it, that last 5 minutes of him becoming the truly, like, in every way, like, no more Stark tech, nothing like that, that wasn't set up in the film. What was set up was that he just went through a lot of consequences, which was good, which is what Spider-Man usually does. Nothing about him sewing his own fucking suit. I didn't even know the dude could sew, right?
All of that is just they gotta sell
moving into a
toys.
little flat like him, and none of that was set up in the film at all. That was just to appease people in the last 5 minutes who've been complaining about that shit.
That too.
And you know
look,
that.
Nerman, I'll say this. We talked about it on my last stream. For me, characters like Spider-Man, right? I like to see them in the first movie. Like, I need to see Spider-Man by the end of the film. Now, to be fair, this is the MCU. They drag it out, but still, I go to Iron Man. We got Iron Man first movie. It was Iron Man by the end of the film. Captain America. It started Captain America. Captain America by the end of the film. Black Panther. Well, in Civil War, showed us Black Panther. Became Black Panther by the end of. He was already Black Panther. But even Thor in Thor 1, he became Thor by the end of the movie. If this was a character like, I don't know, Miss Marvel or something, drag her story out, drag her out all you want. I don't care. But for me, it's what Zack Snyder was going to do with his arc. He was going to make us wait 5 movies for Superman to be Superman. I'm okay with you carrying out a story arc, but I need Superman in his first movie to be Superman. Don't make me wait 5, 10, 15, 11 movies. Especially these big. I understand if you're doing an origin, even in the origin movies, Andrew's first movie and Toby's first movie, Spider-Man at by the end of the film.
The end of the movie was Spider-Man.
I understand the MCU, they want to drag it out, they want to do the Harry Potter thing, but my thing is this sewing stuff to show the end of the film. I feel you on it. But this was Rise of Skywalker done better. You know, Rise of Skywalker tried to fix stuff at the last minute and cram shit.
But he made his own suit in Civil War. I don't understand how this is a confusion.
Wait, which one? You talking about that ugly homemade suit?
Yeah, but he still.
Yeah, clearly he didn't sew
that
that.
suit was hideous, and that's the thing. Even though he made that suit was horrible. That was a horse shit suit. That was disgusting. That was trash.
He made his own suit.
And that's fine, but he made an ugly, shitty suit. It's like, if you want to give me a Spider-Man, make him something cool. Toby made his first suit. But I'm not trying to say it's too. I'm saying like the stuff like Spider-Man making his own suits and stuff. We should have seen all this stuff, and it should have been Sab's first appearance. It's like they're like, okay, we're finally giving him all this stuff to do. We're finally making him Spider-Man. Like all this stuff at the end of the film, I should have seen this in his very first
I agree with that.
First movie in this MCU. And then if you want to drag out stuff, that's fine.
He's your friendly
neighborhood big mainstream characters. For these big mainstream characters, especially Spider-Man, who compared to Iron Man, Cap, and all them, he blows them out the water. He's the golden boy of Marvel. He needs to be Spider-Man day one.
Yeah, he was Spider-Man day one. It's just not the Spider-Man you like.
And Jamin, I'll say this. Jamin, I'll say this too. My favorite appearances of Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Remember, I have no time.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say this real fast. The best times Tom Holland been Spider-Man in the MCU, Civil War, Infinity War, and No Way Home. In Civil War, he was Spider-Man. And in Homecoming, like, what the heck happened? 2 different things. Like in Civil War, very confident Spider-Man. He knew what the heck he was doing. Homecoming.
Man's gotta go.
I know. I'm just saying his little last thing. I'm saying his little last thing.
Do this on one of your daily things.
But I need the characters to be how they are in the very first film.
Anybody respond to any of the rest of what I said? I know we've gone.
No, I agree with it.
I'll just say so. The SNL skittish nature of the relationship between Spider-Man.
Every time Nerdman says
this film is the definition of just below competent filmmaking, original, truly no unique voice to any of this, which is why I was baffled why you said that this was a really good send off to Spider-Man. Like the unique voice that something like Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse has is not found in this movie. Or even the Amazing Spider-Man for that matter. It feels like a film directed by committee rather than someone with with anything original or unique to say about Spider-Man, the multiverse, death, trauma, or any of the spectrum of things this film tries to explore.
Oh, I agree with
all of the thing is, it's like, I mean, every movie in the MCU is committee, whether you want it to or not. So it is that. But the thing is, it's like, look, guys, like, you guys might not know. I do not say it's great just to say it's great. I fight everyone. I hate all of Zack Snyder's Justice League's crap. I hate all of that. Half the MCU movies are like, eh. So for me I was going in, and even based on the last time when we last talked, I was going in with like, oh, this is not going to be good. This will be a mess. And for whatever reason, I'm a human being. I love seeing Spider-Man together, the 3 of them talking. And I think you guys are ignoring the fact that, okay, it's fan service. Yeah, but fan service, there's an art to fan service. Give it to them like the fan service of some movies is a detriment to them. Like Ghostbusters Afterlife, it was a detriment to that movie. It's all stuff we've seen before. Here's Gozer. Yeah, but Gozer's the same Gozer we saw in part 1, and she does nothing new. She even says the same lines. That's just a fan service thing. This is, there's fan service, yes, but it's not literally like they fixed Electro because he looked like crap. Okay, they fixed it. So good. I'm glad because Electro sucked. They made him better. They fixed his look. That's not a negative point. Oh, they're just doing it to appease the fans. Right. And you appeased me.
No. I didn't say that was a negative.
Okay, but in any case, but I'm just
Electro's not negative.
There's a lot of great things in this in this movie. It needs to be ranked higher than 6.
What did it have to say about Spider-Man? What unique thing did it have to say about that character?
But it's a celebration of the Spider-Man series, which is what people wanted.
Of the various generations.
And it's a celebration of the Spider-Man thing. And Spider-Man did lose his aunt, and he has to go through that. And he lost all of his friends. He's not the Spider-Man that we know at the end. He's a new Spider-Man because the Spider-Man that we knew still had friends, Betty, MJ, Aunt May. This guy has nothing. He doesn't have anybody that knows who he is. He's starting from nothing. That's pretty dynamic. That is new. Even Batman
that's the
still
next
has
movie, J-Man.
No, I'm saying, but it's setting up.
That's not this movie.
Right,
no,
but no,
I'm saying, sure, the
he
setup for the next movie sounds really cool. Like that next movie, I'm down for it. I want to know what happens in that next movie.
Yeah,
that's not what happened in this movie. What happened in this movie? What did it have to say that was interesting or unique? Considering you have 3 generations Spider-Man here.
It was celebrating that era.
Did you really feel like that was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man? Did you really feel that?
Yeah.
Or did you feel like that was just Tobey Maguire?
It was just Tobey on the screen. That's all it was.
But no, I'm not one to fall for that, man. I've got 3,000 movies. I did film courses. I'm not one to fall for these tactics, right? I don't know. But maybe I'm just a human and it's like it's Spider-Man. It's cool. But like, trust me, I went in thinking this is going to be crap. And Far From Home, half that movie was awful to sit through. It's like the Mysterio parts were good. Homecoming, it's Vulture. He's my boy, so I love Vulture. So it's like, but like this movie got me. It's like I was and Sean too. I was ranking it lower, and Sean convinced me up. It's like Eternals was boring, and I didn't read the comics. It was just a shit movie.
Filmmaking is only a notch above Shang-Chi. You realize that?
I like it more than Shang-Chi. Yeah, I like it more than Shang-Chi.
Right, it's a notch, and it's to be fair, I don't think it's as good as Black Widow. I know you don't like Black Widow.
I don't like that at all.
I'm confused.
Okay. Hey, we agree on something, Jane. Good.
We agree on a lot, actually, but not on this one.
Yeah.
I didn't like.
I want to get into it more, but
just before I go, we can maybe do like because I'm going to be doing like superhero stuff for the year, so I hope you guys can join me on that. So you think this is as good as like Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, any of those movies? Or
no, Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man 2 transcends superhero films. There's a few movies that do that. Superman Part 1, Spider-Man Part 2. And I'm talking about movies that work as fun character popcorn movies, but also elevate themselves to where, like my wife does not care about the Spider-Man. It's just a great film.
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. That's a good one. That again, you can watch that and be, this is a great popcorn comic movie. He's got the mask and all that. And I've got the mask right there. Right there.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you can also watch that with anyone. You can literally put that film on with anyone. You don't have to be embarrassed like, this is a superhero flick. Like maybe they're not going to
right. Spider-Man 2 is
I think Spider-Man 2 borders on that. It's not quite that, but it kind of borders on that.
For me, I think it is because I got very emotional in that movie. I think it's better, and Spider-Man 1 is obviously better. And I would put the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I don't know, guys. I really did not like those at all. I thought they were awful.
I don't know why you don't like the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
The first one's really good. Second one has.
I hate the costume. It looks like he's wearing a basketball material.
Really?
It looks awful. I hate the costume. I hate the lizard. He makes so many dumb errors in that movie. I just can't. I only watched it once in the theater, even though I own it. And the second one, the villains are just
I think you should watch it again.
You didn't like the Rhino? Come on.
Come on. But
J-Man, you definitely gotta watch the first one again.
There's a reason why you, even though you enjoyed this so much, you're reluctant to put it in the same kind of area or space as Spider-Man 2 and
but that's different.
For instance, Into the Spider-Verse, right? Is a better movie, right? It's better film.
I like this better than Into the Spider-Verse for me.
But Nerdman,
All right,
I
I've
have
got
to
to leave
give
now.
MSK
I
on the
think that's
list
enough for
for
me.
that.
No, I'm joking, but that's crazy. All right, but
I like Into the
genuinely,
Spider-Verse. I have it on 4K right there.
yeah, but that movie is way better. I mean, storytelling, plot, the way it's the originality and uniqueness of what it has to say about Spider-Man as a mythology is just it's
Oh yeah,
way
it added so much.
way
I
better.
think there's good films, and then there's movies you watch a lot, and it's not always necessarily the same thing. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey is my second favorite film. I think it's one of the best films ever made, but I don't watch it quite often. Whereas Army of Darkness, I've watched so many times that I can do the entire movie. Is Army of Darkness better than
There's some
2001: A
movies you
Space
have to be
Odyssey?
in the mood for.
Right? Like,
K
is
Dots,
it better
respond
than?
to this quickly. Yeah, go on. Sorry. Respond
Yeah.
to this quickly before I go.
Got you, father.
Justice League is better than this movie. That's
Oh,
all
oh,
I'm gonna say.
no.
Look,
Yeah,
Nerman, I will say this. Nerman, I'll give
I agree with you 80% of the time, and then you have to throw out that one line at the
Yo,
end.
Nerman, look,
in
today,
my
just for
opinion.
you, I will give you something. Steppenwolf was really good in the movie. The tone was a lot more consistent than this movie.
Watching Blade Try
I
was better
did.
than Justice League.
I'm trying.
It's under 5 hours.
Superman beating up Steppenwolf was awesome too. Wonder Woman was
A
amazing.
murderer.
She was good.
She was a
Wonder
murderer.
Woman's legs, Gal Gadot's legs were amazing in every movie she was in.
I'll give you that's a positive.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm trying.
Dude,
Even
I'm
Wonder Woman
gonna
84, her
break
legs
it
were
down
good.
next time, bit by fucking bit, of why Justice League is a clearly superior movie. BVS is as well. This movie, BVS, the 3-hour edition, is as well. Yes, because that's like a 6.5. This is a 6.34 to me. But I'm going to leave it at that. That's my next thing. I'm going to break down exactly why that's the case. But guys, thanks so much for joining me. I'm now off to my Christmas party at work. Don't laugh like that, Joe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Please subscribe to J-Man. J-Man doesn't come with us. He's part of a more sane community. Yeah, please subscribe to J-Man. And obviously, I think a lot of you guys are subscribed to Jaded Fanboy and K-Dots. That being said, thanks so much. Merry Christmas if I don't speak to some of you guys before. Happy New Year if I don't speak to some of you guys before, but I'm sure I will. And I'll see you on the flip side. Love you 3000.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah.